So we are here at the Cloud Foundry Summit in Boston, and today we have Johan from Mendix. Can you quickly introduce yourself before we kind of deep dive into this interview?
Yeah, I'm Johan and Haan, CTO at Mendix. So Mendix is a company. Mendix as a company delivers an application platform as a service, which is often called low code or high productivity application platform as a service, as some call it, which enables companies to go in the fastest way from an initial idea to a working application, which of course is important in the digital world that we are living in. Most companies are looking to become a more software-driven company to survive in today's world. But to do so, they need to solve quite a bit of problems.
Right.
Because screaming at your IT department to become more software-driven or deliver software faster will not help.
Right.
And we have quite a problem with backlogs that are overflowing, people that cannot deliver applications quickly enough to serve the business. And Mendix is solving that issue by enabling companies to build software 10 times faster, but also with a much broader audience. So business people can be involved in building and delivering applications.
How old is Mendix?
Mendix is almost 13 years old now.
Right, so you have seen a lot of evolution of technologies, and because 13 years ago, a lot of things that we see there were not even there. Even Docker or Kubernetes, it's like new technologies. So when you talk about low code, from the evolution that we have seen over time, where does it fit? What is it?
Yeah, so basically if you look at the history of application development, we always have been looking as programmers at more productivity. So striving to use higher level languages to create software easier and faster. So from machine language to C to later on COBOL and Java, it always has been a progression of more abstraction and automation. And basically low code is just the next generation of that. We've seen 4GL tools in the past that try to automate software development a lot more than previous 3GL languages like Java and C# are. And basically low code is the next generation afterwards. But there's a big difference there. Because a lot of people that have been using 4GL tools have struggled with it for two important reasons. One is these environments were too closed. So if you couldn't express your needs in the language provided by the 4GL tool, you're just screwed. You're stuck in the environment. Mendix is completely open, so you can always extend your model using Java code on the back end or JavaScript code on the front end. So that's an important difference. And the other difference is basically on your previous question, these 4GL tools all kind of died because they missed a paradigm shift in the market. So going from desktop applications to web applications or to multi-channel and mobile applications. So I think the key thing, and that is what we always have been focused on at Mendix, is to jump on these next waves, these paradigm shifts in the market. So what you rightfully said, like when we started, there was no Cloud Foundry or Docker or let alone mobile applications. So we continuously need to adopt these new technologies. And I often say to our customers, like, you didn't just build an application development environment, you bought a subscription on innovation. Because we continuously add all these new technologies in the platform so that our users can use that to make applications and rich and smart applications.
Who are these customers? Who are your target audience?
Yeah, so we have our target customers are in the enterprise, so enterprise customers, but across any vertical basically. Because we have a horizontal platform that can be used to build any type of application for any industry. Where we have partners that use our platform to build applications for a certain vertical, for example.
Okay.
So I think maybe to give you an example of a type of application that has been built using Mendix is on the one hand, so if you look at operational efficiency, we have a university here in the United States that automated the whole manual process around tracking who is following which courses, what kind of credits are need to apply to that. There was a manual process, so they automated that using Mendix, so they could build an application in a very limited amount of time and save a lot of money. So that's an example of an application that is focused on improving the operational efficiency of a company. But we're also more in the innovation area. For example, an airline company was struggling with maintaining airplanes. So of course, if you look at airplanes, when they are in the air, they make money. If they are on the ground, they cost money. So if you need to maintain them, it should be as quickly as possible. And then one of the mechanics came up with an interesting innovation, an idea to improve that whole process. So he said, well, what if we tag all the equipment and the tools we need to maintain an airplane, and we have a little iPad app that can look up where this equipment is, because it's very specialized. These are big areas. So to find the equipment that took around 30 minutes per day, added up all, of course, that they lost in looking for the right equipment. So the mechanic teamed up with somebody who knew the Mendix platform, and they built this app together in just 6 days. And they could just save these 30 minutes per day. So that's a nice example of an application tied to an IoT scenario, where they save these 30 minutes times a couple of hundred mechanics. You can do the math.
Why do these companies use Mendix? What value do you bring to them?
I think the two main reasons why they use Mendix. I mean, first, they want to get business outcomes faster.
Right. So you mentioned, that the plane has to be flying, for them to make
so that's
money.
an excellent example of, and instead of starting a whole software development project and which would take a year, and then you have a result and you don't know if it's the right result.
Right.
You want to have something in a couple of days and then iterate on a daily basis, like with the people that are actually using the app or in the domain, and then have this result. So we did a study in our customer base, so compared all the projects that have been done with Mendix, and compared that to traditional programming languages like Java and C#. And on average, we were 10 times faster. So that's a reason why companies go for Mendix, because time to market is becoming more and more important in today's world.
Right.
So that's one. Secondly, there is a big scarcity in development talent. So you see all these people talking about everybody needs to learn to code. That's not the solution, because we cannot teach everyone coding. It's a craft that you need to learn, and even then we wouldn't have enough people if we would have 10% more computer science students, or maybe even 20 or 30. We wouldn't solve the talent gap.
And that will take time. You cannot just, run containers yesterday and everybody is a computer scientist.
It takes years, of course.
Yes, and Linux Foundation and all, they keep coming with reports that there is a huge gap between the supply and demand of talented people. Yeah, so
and we cannot solve that in that way. So then we need to think differently. We need to have a paradigm shift. And I think low code is this paradigm shift where we, what I said before, can do software development faster, but also with a much broader group of people. If you look at the average Mendix team, if you have 5 people in a team building applications, it's 1 person with a computer science background, but it's 4 people with a business background that are tech savvy, they understand, but they can be involved in building the actual application. So the group of people that can use Mendix to build software is minimally 10 times bigger than the group of professional developers that we currently have in this world. And then you attack the problem from 2 different angles. You're 10 times faster, and you have much more people that can be involved. Now then we're talking about a real difference and helping companies with the challenges they have today.
Is it that the barrier for entry or the requirements are lower, or you don't target developers at all? Who is your actual user, in enterprise? Like when we talk about all these Kubernetes, and you are looking at a particular set, developers or operators, who is your target? I'm not talking users within enterprise who consumes your product.
Yeah, so basically it's a broad spectrum of developer personas that can use the Mendix product. So on the one hand, so you have the easy entry, you have what you could call the citizen developer. So somebody in the business that is using Excel or Microsoft Access or these type of products, or a power user, and who can explore Mendix, take our web modeler, build an application, do some experimentation basically, and ideation around things that could help the business forward with new ideas or new services or automating some parts of the work. So that's where it can start. But then you have a group of people that I would call rapid developers or business developers that do learn Mendix. They work full-time in application development, but have a background, not a computer science background, but a background in, for example, being an SAP consultant or BI consultant, or at least a tech-savvy person that loves to solve business problems.
Right. So are these users, they have to learn it by themselves, or Mendix also offers some kind of either very good documentation or some kind of training?
Yeah,
or
so if you enter the product, so you can just sign up at mendix.com, do a sign up, and then you have a whole guided tutorial to get you started. But also we provide a whole academy with online courses that will teach people both the basics, but also the more advanced stuff in Mendix, because you can go really advanced. So you can even go, the computer science people love Mendix as well, so the developers, because they can do the hard stuff, so the integrations with all the systems, the algorithms, they can extend Mendix in any way possible, and then enable the business developers and the citizen developers to do the experimentation and what they would call the boring work, because they would want to have the technical challenges, but they enable other people to do all the iterations with the business, build the UI, build the business logic. So it's all about collaboration, bringing these different groups of people together and let them work in a cross-functional team and collaborate on building actual business value using software.
Right. Now let's change gears a bit. What are you doing at Cloud Foundry Summit?
Yeah, that's a good question, of course. If you look at Mendix and low code, that's about building applications. And we do that by providing visual models, so you can easily build applications in a visual language. But it's only part of the equation. Just to tell you an example is that one of the first customers we had was struggling in .NET. For 6 months already to build the automation of a certain workflow in their company. So we came in, built the application in 6 weeks, big success, but then we had to deploy it. And the company needed to order hardware and the IT didn't know how to run it, and so this is 10 years ago. So it took 3 months before we had it running. So 6 weeks of development, 3 months of deploying. So then we thought, well, this is killing our business case. So we should not just focus on developing apps, but on the entire life cycle of an application. So the whole delivery of an application. So we also started to do abstraction and automation in the deployment part. So started to build our own PaaS layer and so on. And then in 2014, Cloud Foundry came up. And we saw the opportunity there to have an open source platform as a service layer running on any cloud, so we would be interoperable and you could run Mendix applications everywhere if you would adopt Cloud Foundry. So that's why we stepped into the foundation as one of the first companies and have been a happy member of the community ever since, because the philosophy behind Cloud Foundry is exactly the same as the philosophy behind low code. Cloud Foundry is about abstraction and automation, and low code is also about abstraction and automation, but Cloud Foundry does it for deployment and operations, and Mendix does it for developing the application.
Did you make any announcements here at the summit?
So we didn't have a specific announcement at the summit, but we have some. We did have a lot of interesting changes over the last couple of months. So one is, for example, I mentioned it briefly before, is that we had a lot of growth in our public cloud. So we have now 40,000 applications running on Cloud Foundry in our public cloud, so open source Cloud Foundry on top of Amazon. And half of that has been created in the last 12 months. So we see a big uptake in people exploring low-code solutions, starting to adopt Mendix, build their applications and run them in our public cloud. But on top of that, we announced strategic partnerships with SAP and earlier this year with IBM. So you can now acquire Mendix via SAP or IBM, and then also immediately run your applications on the SAP cloud or the IBM cloud and utilize all their cloud services out of the box. So in case of SAP, you can build smart applications using Leonardo, but also easily integrate in your backend SAP systems and build an agile layer on top of that using low code. In case of IBM, you can run in the IBM cloud, utilize all the IBM Watson services to build smart applications that have IoT involved, the cognitive services from Watson. You can build really innovative solutions, as we demoed yesterday on stage as well, with conversational UI, image recognition, so really at the innovative side of the organization.
Yeah, I was about to ask, because I was at the demo, I was watching the demo. What was the demo all about?
Yeah, so what we wanted to show is, one, where the next generation of applications is going. We went from desktop to web applications to mobile, multi-channel. And I strongly believe that the next generation of applications is what we call smart apps. So a smart app is context aware, so it knows where the user is, what the user is doing, context of the business process, maybe some historical context. A smart app is also intelligent, so it knows how to process all that information, maybe using machine learning or all kinds of rule-based systems. And then if you combine these two things, context awareness and intelligence, you can build proactive applications that go to the user instead of the user going to the app. So dynamically, for example, if the user is a doctor in a hospital, the doctor walks through the patient, it immediately shows the right information and gives the proper context automatically, so proactively instead of... So that's what we wanted to show yesterday as well. Like, this is the type of applications that people want to build, need to build with all the new services that are available, but it's a really complex thing to do because there are so many different technologies that you need to integrate, that you need to master to be able to build a smart app. That it becomes increasingly hard to be a developer nowadays, basically. But if you have a low-code layer on top of that, and you can just easily mix and match these services, as we've shown yesterday, you just drag and drop an image recognition service into your application, and you can just use it without any technical knowledge.
Right. It was, yeah.
Then you can start to experiment and work, experiment on that level instead of worrying about the underlying technology. Yeah,
and it was able to tell the age of his age as well as that he's human, right?
Yeah.
That was a funny joke. I don't know, I'm heavily into VR and IoT, so I sometimes feels that, smartphones are just placeholders as we move to IoT devices, all those. So how do you cater to that, IoT or IoT space?
Now that's why I'm strongly believing that the next generation of apps is these smart apps. Because I think indeed, if you look at, especially at AR, augmented reality, I mean the smartphone, it's great that both Android and iOS have ARKit and AR Core that you can easily build these applications, but you're not going to walk around with a phone in front of you experiencing the augmented reality. So yeah, I think the next generation will be new devices that are allow you to. But that's the nice thing is that I think the next platform that we're experiencing. So we talk a lot about cloud and we are in and mobile apps. But the next platform that will really change how we look at software, but even at the world, is that machine learning is growing so fast, which has a lot more impact than we currently can predict. And the early days of the mobile internet, we had email and checking your stock on a mobile device. But we couldn't predict that the actual interesting applications that you can build on top of the mobile internet platform were things like Uber and so with location services and all these things on top of that. The same is happening with machine learning.
Right.
I mean, computers can now see. They can process what you see. So if you have these devices with you that see what you see, just imagine the impact of that on our world. How that will change e-commerce or any other business around us. Or if you look at how machine learning or artificial intelligence is enabling autonomous cars.
Right.
And it's not just about making it more efficient, you don't have to drive yourself. It will change the entire world. It will change cities. Because if everything can automatically be transported, where will you live and work and buy stuff? Because you don't have to go to a shop. The shop can come to you, and you can just have, for example, shoes delivered at your doorstep, or have an autonomous pod that you can enter, do some fitting with different types of shoes, and then walk out with the ones you want to have. Right. That's a different type of shopping than going to a city.
Yeah, it's going to. But the thing is, it will also create a lot of challenges in terms of security and privacy.
Of course,
that will also be seen how
it's still early, so it will be hard to see. But I think the important message is that one, because everything is developing so quickly and innovating so quickly, you need to be able to experiment quickly.
Right.
So just try out some things. What would it mean for your business if you would do something with these new machine learning services or cognitive services, or with augmented reality, or whatever service that is available, comes available in the near future? You need to experiment to find out what it will be. You cannot just do that behind your desk and thinking like, oh, this will be my next. This is how my business survives. You need to create a culture of innovation and experimentation, and you do that by that will be enabled by Mendix as a low-code platform that will allow you to quickly iterate, experiment with application, maybe build 10 applications in a month. And then 9 will fail, but 1 will probably be something that is interesting enough to take to the next level. So that's important, that we create these types of cultures and that we enable companies to do that quick experimentation.
Right. You have been around for long, and you are in, right now we are in this, phase, so much is happening. When you look for, I mean, we cannot even talk about 1 or 2 years from now, things are changing so rapidly. But right now, what do you see the trend and big challenge for enterprises that you think, you can solve, or you think that we need to solve and we don't have any solution to?
Now, I think there is already a solution. So I think the biggest...
But what is the problem?
So the biggest challenge in enterprises is less sexy than we just talked about, like all the new technologies and machine learning and cognitive services and so on. The main challenge that enterprises have nowadays is that they are not able to enable the business with the right software.
Right.
So we are in a digital world, but there are so many manual processes and services that the average company has, and there is just no way that the IT department can deliver these business needs. It's the demand is so much higher than what they can produce.
Right.
That's one of the main problems. And what I said, that's where low code comes in to solve that, with faster application development, but also with a broader group of people, and more importantly, do it in collaboration. Because it's not about business versus IT or the other way around. It's about how can we make IT a core part of the business and make the whole company think like an IT company.
Right.
Because that's what we need to do today.
I mean, if you're not a technology or IT company, you won't even survive. Today, no matter which company you pick, we live in a software-defined world, literally. Airbnb doesn't own a single hotel. Uber doesn't own a single car. Yeah. So Tesla is more or less like a supercomputer on wheels kind of stuff. So yeah, but there are two kind of companies. One are like new startups which are coming to life, and then there are like companies which have been around for hundreds of years, and they have a big stack of legacy applications. So which is the use case where you see yourself fit better, or you say that, oh, we help both?
Now we definitely help both, and I think that's the power of a low-code platform, and the power of Mendix is that we are fully focused on enterprises. So you can build ranging from a simple standalone application to a microservices landscape that is completely cloud native and integrated with the backend. So that's, for example, why we have this strategic partnership with SAP as well, that we can easily build on top of SAP. A lot of companies have SAP running at the core of their company for a long time already, but they struggle to innovate on top of that. And instead of trying to customize your SAP environment, you should keep that standard out of the box, because that will make it a lot easier to migrate to new versions, to maintain it, but build an agile layer on top of it. So have a low-code platform that can deeply integrate with the SAP environment, and then quickly build all kinds of new applications on top of your existing data and that lives inside your company. And then, of course, the nice thing is that you can now get a low-code platform from SAP. So that's rapid application development by Mendix, which you can buy via SAP and immediately run in your SAP ecosystem.
One last question before we wrap. You are playing in this open source arena. How much of your own technologies are open source, or how much do you engage with the open source community at the code level?
Now, quite a bit. So what I said, we joined the Cloud Foundry Foundation early on. So that's an important investment, and we have been working with the community. We're also doing the same thing with Docker and Kubernetes, because we truly believe in running everywhere and giving our customers the choice to run their applications everywhere. But we're also open sourcing part of our own technology. So, for example, we have a library for web-based applications, state management and web-based applications called MobX, which is an extension to React, which is hugely popular in the React world, and we have been contributing that to the open source world. And of course, that's great for both other companies that can reuse it, but also for us to benefit from the broader community and all the knowledge that is in there.
Yeah, you get contribution of people you don't pay, and they get to access the code that they have not written. Yeah, so open source, and there is a lot of cross-pollination of ideas. And yeah, so I think we covered some broad topics. Do you think we left anything? I mean, there are a lot of things we can talk about for hours and hours, but I think we covered some basics today. Is there anything left you would like to touch upon?
No, I think we've touched all the important areas.
Yeah.
So thanks for having us.
Thank you too. Thank you.